for joining. And before we will start, just a few housekeeping rules. This session is being recorded, as you have seen already. The video will be archived and posted online after the event as an open resource, and you can see a YouTube channel where we post our videos in the chat box. All the links are posted over there. Attendees of this session are automatically muted, except the speakers. Please keep your microphones muted while the other speaker is communicating. And if you have any questions, you can either ask them by raising your hand or write them down in the chat box. To keep the discussion in an ethical manner, we're using the Apex's Code of Conduct, and there is a link again in the chat box, so you can just follow that to get to know the code. And this session is performed in the English language with the simultaneous interpretation in Russian. So you can choose the appropriate language in the lower bar side on the right by clicking the option Interpretation. So for further instructions, please visit the Zoom link, which is also posted in the chat box, if you have any problems to access the translation. So please use all these opportunities that we provide at this session, and I think that I will start with a short presentation myself, just to give a few opportunities that has been provided by our partners. I hope that you can see my screen. Can you? Okay, good. So welcome to our great webinar, which is the third in a row, and the two previous you can see at the YouTube channel, as I said. So today we are going to talk about how to overcome cultural and language barriers. But since it is some kind of a Christmas and pre-holiday mood, I hope that we will have it in a more friendly and very relaxed manner. So our some of our partners has provided a few links that you can that are posted in the chat box, and please take a look at them. So one of the opportunity is devoted to female early career researchers, and it is also in the context of UK-Russia collaborations. It's in a graduate research fellowship program, and for the Arctic research, life sciences, and medical research and climate change. Years, and you, when you will go by the link, you can see that the application period has already passed, but this opportunity will be open hopefully the next year as well. And I want to mention that the next year, 2022-2023, is the official year of knowledge in between UK and Russia. So there will be a lot more opportunities. The other opportunity is a professional development course in scientific writing and publishing skills, which is actually very much aligned with the topic of our webinar today. The course is to be delivered by the University of York, and will enable early career researchers to prepare, structure, and submit research papers for successful application in the UK and international scientific journals. And hopefully, hopefully it will be like ongoing program, because we all need that. And I will show a little bit later some of the community feedback for the need of interpretation and help with the overcoming the language barrier itself. And the other opportunity is the leadership skills for female early career researchers. This is the course, and a course to be delivered by the University of York again, and you can learn more from all the links that are posted in the chat box. And the other interesting program is called Turing Scheme, and it is the UK government program that has been launched to support study and internship abroad for British students, and it is named after the mathematician Alan Turing, as you know. And This new program replaces Britain's participation in the European Erasmus Plus program and significantly increases the opportunities for British students to study abroad. And the next application period will be open March 2022. So the link again is in the chat box. Just go ahead and get to know all the opportunities better. So, and some time ago, I just tried to look back to what we have tried to find out in our national committee, like I think like 2 years ago, and we were asking if there is a need for English, for help with the proofreading English texts within the Russian community of young scientists. And we have launched, as I said, 2 years ago, a survey, and we've got 58 answers, feedback to that survey. And I just wanted to let you know the results that we had. And they are presented here in Russian, but I will talk about them in English. So we asked, first of all, if there is a need for the editorial assistance with the English text in your work. When you actually write something in English, do you need the polishing the text from the native speaker? And as you can see, that 100% of answers was for yes. So there is like a total need for help in that sense. And also we asked how many times do you need that assistance with the English language? And as you can see, that some of the most popular answer was once in 3 months. So it's not that frequent. Like 33 people said like that, about 6%. And a few people said that they need once in a half year. And only 20% said like once in a month. So it's not that, I think, overwhelming work, I would say. And also, in which sphere you need assistance with the English language translation or polishing or proofreading. And most of people said like for the scientific paper, some said about the abstracts to the conference, and some said about the application, the actual application to participate in different activities, like CV, the cover letter, and so on. And not much people need, but still do the text for a project application. As you can see over here, like 24%. And some of the commentaries just posted over here, some of the conferences said that it is like the life needed idea. We need that for very much, looking forward for that. So I think that it would be nice to have this kind of programs, this kind of projects or ideas included maybe in our activities, especially at the UK Russian perspective. And with that, I think I will finish my presentation because it was just like an intro. And I will give a microphone to our next speaker, Evgeny Zarov, scientific researcher at UNESCO Department, Environmental Dynamic and Global Climate Changes at UGRA State University and Timansisk region. And Evgeny, the floor is yours. Please share with us your project and the outcomes that you had. Okay, you share the screen.
Добрый день. Раз можно рассказать по-русски, тогда воспользуюсь.
Good afternoon, good morning, and good afternoon. If I can speak in Russian, then I will make use of the simultaneous translation service offered today. Just a second, I'm going to share my screen. There, I hope you can see the slides now. It's a pleasure to see all of you here. It's wonderful that I managed to join you. Thank you for inviting me. And since this meeting is not very formal, I wanted to share our experience and our ideas on how we can improve our communication with the world. I hope that during today's discussion, we'll be able to find more ideas on how this communication can be improved. I work at the Yugra State University. It's right here. It's an essential part of Western Siberia. It's far from Europe and from the capitals of Russia, which are located closer to the western border of the country. The university is engaged actively in international cooperation and collaboration. We've got the Mukhrine Field Station. It's a platform where scientific research around global climate change and the carbon cycle can be conducted. It is also a platform, it's a site where all kinds of interdisciplinary projects are being conducted. Mukhrine has become an international brand, really. People know about it, and we act as an enabler, as a facilitator of the site, and we can host researchers and students here. And if you study Arctic from whatever perspective, you are welcome to contact us. There are several ongoing international projects into which we are involved. Interact 3 is the one we love the most. Probably it still attracts a lot of researchers, despite the lockdowns and the pandemic. People still manage to reach us. ISENCAR is yet another ongoing project supported by the UK Embassy. I'll talk more about it on the subsequent slides. Last year, we also received a mega grant to set up a lab to study ecosystem atmosphere interactions. It's yet another example of when international cooperation requires a lot of communication, because the lab is managed by the University of Helsinki, and engaged in the project. Apart from the project leader, there are the people from the University of Helsinki cooperating on the project. And we also have this other project in cooperation with France on Siberian peatlands. So we are building friendly relations with the French colleagues. We receive their equipment. We carry out research on the basis of joint protocols. And as to our main international activities, we've got field work, which is carried out at the Mukhrine Field Station. Of course, we publish articles and we organize workshops and seminars. So on a high level, a very high level, that's what we do. ISENCAR, the project that I have already mentioned, it's a project aimed at international scientific integration of early career researchers. It was supported by the UK Embassy, and it aims at establishing relations between Russian and the UK researchers. Its objective is to help our students meet their British counterparts and to enable communication between British students and Russian students. The two main Nizhnevartovsk and Khanty-Mansiysk universities on the Russian side, and 3 universities in the UK, Bangor, Inverness, and the Bristol University, East Anglia University, are the universities on the British side. In 2020, we didn't we didn't do much work. It was a passive year, as we called it. However, we still managed to organize several activities. Like we had a coordination meeting. It was an excellent experience. And for some people, Zoom as the main tool of communication, it was a new experience, and it demonstrated that in the future, and I hope the quarantines, the lockdowns will be over sooner or later, Zoom will remain one of the key tools for communication. It is so easy to use, and it's so efficient, really. It lets people talk to each other directly. So we enjoyed this experience very much. It was extremely useful. Besides, we organized a series of scientific lectures. They were hosted in turn by various stakeholders of the project. We would introduce our activities. We would explain to each other which of the universities does what are our specializations. We get a better understanding of our capabilities, mutual capabilities, and there is also an opportunity to transfer knowledge. In Russia, we have perhaps some specifics in our scientific agenda. We have our own priorities, our own focuses. So it's only natural that in the UK, the universities will have their own focuses in the research. Besides, we were able to talk about new horizons. That is, say, oh, that's what they do. Oh, we didn't think that in the mines you can look for microplastic particles. The University of Bangor talked to this particular project, and now Nizhny University bought special equipment, and that's what they are engaged in right now. And then there are English classes. Russian students. Well, we of course, for participation in this project, we selected students who had some command of English, but even though they study English, and now they still require greater fluency. They would like to master their skills more in English. So we had English classes. We also organized several meetings, one in Khanty-Mansiysk, one in Tyumen. They were internal mobility meetings. It was very difficult to organize a visit from the British colleagues, so we couldn't do it in 2021, but we're thinking about it, and perhaps we'll discuss it at a later stage. These meetings, people meet each other, they get acquainted, they become friends. So they met before in the English classes or in the Zoom conferences, but when people got to see each other in Khanty-Mansiysk, 5 people from each university, 15 people in total, plus organizers. So basically, they've already met. They knew each other, they knew the names. Hi, Petya, hi, Masha. But they never had an opportunity to talk for a long period of time to establish, proper relations, and that was an opportunity for them to really become friends. And then when we met again in Tyumen, we enjoyed it so much. It was a meeting of old friends already. We recorded the lectures to share with our British colleagues. We shared all the materials, and we are preparing a virtual tour to our field station at Mukhrino. The activities that were organized during these visits, well, first of all, at Khanty-Mansiysk, we worked on a project. Those 15 people, we mixed them all up so that the students from Khanty-Mansiysk would not be working with students from Khanty-Mansiysk, but instead they would be working with other students from Nizhnevartovsk and Tyumen. And we thought that we would ask them to develop a project, to submit, to prepare a submission, my own ISINKAR. That's what our students did. They applied the knowledge and the skills that they acquired during the lectures last year. Their projects were on microplastics, climate cooling triggers, and forest fire projection. They made the submissions to the jury. Gerrit Ries was on the jury. He helped us a lot, actually, in evaluating the submissions. There was Tian Yakovleva from the UK embassy. There were 2 people on our side, so we had a proper jury. When we met in Tyumen, there we developed a project to be submitted to the Russian President's Grant. Projects were targeting environmental and cultural education. It got all our students very excited, but there was a barrier here. It was difficult to engage the British colleagues into a live discussion. We would have loved to get inputs and contributions from the British students. I don't know what the main obstacle was, but we didn't do it. We couldn't do it for whatever reason. So our Russian students are still working on it on their own. There was also a roundtable. We asked students what they enjoy, what they don't like about the project, what they would like to see in the project. And all Russian students said, all of them unanimously, they all confirmed that they would like to continue with English classes. Basically, again, all of them said that we want to talk to the British students, we want to communicate with them. And one option, one solution that they suggested is to set up a discussion club for the students when people would meet and talk about the topics that are relevant to them. This is what we have already organized. There was a bridge between the Russian and the British students. It was not a scientific session. It was not an academic session, but people talked about what they enjoy doing, what their interests are. And then we also had a quiz to find out how much the British know about Russia and how much Russians know about the UK. But to go back to science, we are trying to bring together the students from Russia and from the UK so that they can work on scientific projects jointly, so that they would have a remote access project. You exchange protocols and you work on them together, you collaborate on them. So as a summary, what are the main challenges that we face this day? Well, lack of offline communication, obviously. Zoom online communication does not substitute face-to-face meetings. Yes, people get to know each other over Zoom, but again, Zoom does not enable a lively discussion, a spontaneous discussion, really, or at least not on par with what happens in real life. Then there's lockdowns. Obviously, we can't travel. And what we also saw is the differences in the education system in the UK and in Russia. When we needed to find students, we didn't have any problem. But the British said, our students are all engaged already. They all have their projects and they will be available only next year. So we had to wait really before we could get students on this project from the British side. So that was a kind of a challenge. And obviously, one of the greatest stumbling blocks is the low level of command of the English language. Information isolation, we call it. The Russians can't read papers published in English. Science develops on all sides of the border, but I mean, if you're not familiar with what's happening in international science, you are not involved in the process. There is no communication, no education. That says it's difficult without English. You can't publish without English. You can't take courses outside of your own country. So there are several issues that remain outstanding. All right. We know that there are a lot of free English resources. You can study a language on your phone. There are a lot of movies in English. You can watch them. And at our university, for instance, when foreigners come, we let our students talk to the foreigners, to the foreign colleagues. And also there are opportunities to study abroad. I mean, these opportunities are out there. They are available. We tell our students, hey guys, have you never ever dreamed of going to London? why don't you take this opportunity? But for some reason, people are not very much driven to learn English. In my experience, no student has ever studied English using these resources. If students knew English or had some command of English, they stay usually with this level. But if they start from zero, I don't understand what else we can do with those talented students who don't know English yet and who are not motivated to study it using free available resources. Thanks.
For such a great presentation. Yeah, I think that if you want to speak in English during our discussion, you just need to choose to turn off the translation if you will speak in English. So that was amazing to see how your project is going, even though COVID has jeopardized your plans a little bit, but you've been very flexible in shaping your plans. That's great to see, and it's great collaboration. And what I've got from your presentation is that actually the language barrier is the driving force for everything, even for cultural misunderstanding, maybe, or something like that. Because when you don't know language, you cannot communicate properly. So you cannot even understand the cultural, let's say, particulars of the other nation. What do you think about the cultural differences? Are they really dependent on the language barrier itself? Evgeny?
Что-то тут не вижу, у меня куда-то кнопка пропала, по-русски скажу.
I don't see the translation button. I'll keep speaking Russian then. Well, yeah, definitely. Poor language skills is a major barrier and an obstacle. People miscommunicate. Besides, it leads to a certain cultural isolation. If you want to understand your counterpart, you must start with the language as the foundation of culture. Culture is manifested through the language. So yeah, I agree. It's a challenge, and we want our students to be integrated into the international community as much as possible. We all admit that English today is the language of international scientific communication. So for our universities, one of the priorities, we want our students to improve their language skills. We also focus on conversational English because we know that reading and speaking are two distinctive skills. Because sometimes students would say that we watch a video with subtitles, we read the subtitles, yeah, we are fine, we understand it, but it still doesn't mean that the students will be able to talk.
Thank you so much. And you also mentioned the lack of motivation. Do you think that the lack of motivation, maybe just because of the lack of time, maybe students are a little bit overwhelmed with their studies? No?
Да, это хороший вопрос. Вот я как бы его
It's a good question. And I would love other participants of this conference to answer it or try to answer it. For me, it's still a mystery. Again, speaking from personal experience, I got an opportunity to go on an internship to the Netherlands, the University of Utrecht. I spent all my days in an English language environment. I changed settings on my phone. My phone spoke to me in English. I surrounded myself with the English language, English resources, all kinds of them, watching movies, listening to the news. It was such an excellent opportunity. I had this grant. Well, there was a chance that I wouldn't go. Although I had the grant, but still, it was such a great motivator for me. what happens to other students, I don't know. I have no idea. We've got grants. Many of them are absolutely free for the student. And for many years, we've been cooperating with the Finnish universities. And they keep telling us, give us a student who knows at least some English, and then we'll be able to do something with the student. But I've been cooperating with the Finns for 8-9 years. And in all these years, there hasn't been a single student who said, I'm ready to go. I know a couple of words in English. No one, not a single person. We can't do everything ourselves. I mean, we are already researchers. And yes, we do speak English, but we can't go on every single visit or use every single brand out there.
In your presentation, you also mentioned that it was very hard to get UK students for leave discussions. So maybe we should address this question to our UK partners. Do you have any comments, or do you experience any outcomes from that kind of language barriers or cultural barriers?
Shall I step in here? So I think a lot of what I'm going to say is going to reflect what Yevgeny has said. Because I don't speak Russian, or certainly didn't when I started my PhD, trying to get involved with Russian science was very difficult, because in Russia, you are obviously speaking Russian, you're writing your science in Russian. And so for me to access that was near impossible. Yes, we have fantastic tools like Google Translate, but even that's not perfect. So during my first field season in Russia, I spoke very little, enough to say hello, and that was about it. And so thankfully, some of my colleagues in Russia did speak some English, albeit broken English, but we got by. And so a bit like Yevgeny, I sort of tried to just throw myself into Russian by changing the keyboard on my phone into Russian and listening to the Russian radio. But I don't know, personally, I still find Russian a very difficult language to learn. So it's taking time to get into being able to partner with Russian science really is still quite difficult. And I think it is just that language barrier that is the problem.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Solly, just go ahead. Yeah.
My perspective as someone who's in the UK, but Russian was my second language. So I'm originally from Kazakhstan, for those of you who don't know, and I grew up speaking both Kazakh and Russian. And I was quite motivated to learn English, but I had this like huge language barrier. I would understand people. I would be able to read things, but I just couldn't speak. I was really, really focused on being worried whether I'm going to make a mistake, or someone would laugh at me. So it was horrible. And I did my bachelor's in Kazakhstan, and then I left to work. I was in Norway, and I was put into workspace where everyone was international, and nobody really spoke any Russian other than one person from Russia. So I was kind of forced to start speaking English, and that helped a lot. And another thing that really helped is that everyone was an international. So everyone was struggling with their English, but everyone knew a bit of English. So it was like a good way to kind of put yourself into that situation and start speaking. And then slowly I broke out from that barrier. Now I'm quite comfortable with the language, but it's just my perspective. It might not be applicable to other people, but my advice to anyone who wants to learn, either it's Russian or English, would be to just go into that country and speak the language that they're speaking. Don't try to turn it into, your own, because then you'd have to learn it, and you will eventually. So yeah, a bit brutal, but it works.
Yeah, thank you so much, Solly. I think that there is a very good Russian saying, "Вижу цель, не вижу препятствий." I see the goal, don't see the barriers. So that's, I think, would be nice to keep it in mind. Ria, do you have anything like to add over here?
Thanks, Julia. Yeah, I don't have so much experience learning Russian or speaking Russian. So for a bit of background, I've done some work on a project that's designed, the aim is to improve UK-Russian collaborations in Arctic science. But we started from the UK side. So we do have Russian collaborators. So we largely, on our side, do everything in English, but we have sessions where we have the same translators that we have here today, the Omnica translators. And we found that to be an completely essential tool for these collaborative sessions, for working together. And it's really opened up a huge avenue of work for us, where we can speak with Russian collaborators and the Russian scientists and really work together and overcome what's lost in translation, and what Evgeny was talking about with the information isolation. It's really opened up those doors for us. We also use online translation services, DeepL, which is very helpful. But as Julia said, there is always a need to check our work with a Russian speaker, and that again is really important to make sure we don't accidentally say something really silly without knowing as well. And so, to really bring people into the conversation that might not come into the conversation with their English skills, to translate into Russian and do it properly is really important. So from someone who doesn't know barely any Russian at all, I think using those services out there are so important to overcoming these barriers as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Ria. And we have a few comments from our audience. And if you want to get involved in the discussion, please raise your hand, and the floor is open. You can just voice it yourself instead of writing in a chat. So Sarah is posting that learning any language is hard work and takes a lot of effort, but it is also great fun and very rewarding because you get a whole new insight into another culture. That's true. That's certainly true. And Stephanie also mentioned that she found that early career people that she came across could speak English well, but the older people in the institute didn't. So we couldn't do a presentation or a discussion in English. Yeah, I think it's a most typical, let's say, challenge. But while we've been talking about years, I just realized that actually, while I have the story very interesting. When I first came to APEX itself, like APEX International, into 2010, like 11 years ago, I met my friend, and she's from South Africa. She's a marine biologist, and she currently is a teacher at school in South Africa in Cape Town. I met her online. We didn't even have Zoom at the time. And we are now very good friends for 11 years, but we have never met in person. We're staying in touch on WhatsApp. We're sending messages to each other. We're posting on Facebook. We do have chats on Skype, on WhatsApp, but we haven't met. We just dream about that we will meet one day in person. So having a connection with someone without being like without having an offline meetings is also, let's say, not a motivation, but it's something that lies on you personally. If you want to stay in touch, you will be staying in touch. That's true. Is there anyone from the audience who want to join and share experiences and share any views and thoughts? Just jump up. Don't be shy. So regarding the motivation, so what I've got over here from what we have already discussed is that the language barrier is something that lies beneath anything, even the cultural barrier. We experience the lack of motivation, and I think it's like very personal thing. And also we have some very unpredicted situations like COVID that actually jeopardize the communication. But I think that keeping in mind that example that I gave you already, that for 11 years we are staying in touch with my best friend. I would call her best friend for 11 years without meeting each other in person. So it's just like it's a true story. So if you have this motivation, you will stay in touch anyway. So we still have a few communication in chat. So please jump in. You're allowed to speak if you want to. Just go ahead, share your experiences. Okay, so Sarah is posting that I worked as a scientific language editor, and improving someone else's written work takes both time and skill. Please don't expect other researchers to do this for free. If you need a lot of help, pay a professional to do it. Of course, if you are doing a research project and writing a paper together, then the English speaker will probably be happy to correct the language as needed. Yeah, I agree totally. And that was one of the main points during the survey, which said that actually young scientists that don't have often, they need to publicize their work in international journals, but they don't have money to pay for professional translation. So that was the problem, I think. But the professional translation from the other side certainly needs to be paid. That's true. So is there anyone who wants to add anything over here? Just because it seems like everyone is in the yes, Evgeny, just go ahead.
Actually, I found the button to change my language now, so I'm going to try to speak English.
Okay.
So actually, about the proofreading, it's really important to have opportunity to proofread your text. And just only a few weeks ago, I discovered for me a new opportunity. My friend is also a researcher, advised me to use freelancer.com. I don't know, for me, it was discovering, because there are really many options. You post a project there and tell that I need to proofread my text by native speaker. And you get immediately many suggestions to help you, and with different prices. Actually, you have to mention what price you're gonna pay, and they suggest just also something like I'm ready to proofread your text for, I don't know, 50 euros. But yes, I'm agree with the was there in the chat. Just it's really expensive, and there are two options. Is it okay? I think my Zoom is freeze now.
Yeah, I think that maybe Evgeny has.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's just like your picture is frozen. Evgeny? Maybe the connection has been lost. So Sarah is posting again that she would love to hear about Russian colleagues' experiences about working with UK researchers with regards to the language culture issue. I don't know, what do you mean by there are some different perspectives, some different situations about the language culture issues. But I, for example, in my on my professional pathway, I don't think that I have been in any dramatic situations with the language or cultural issues or barriers. I wouldn't say that. I think it personally depends. It depends on the personality. It depends on how you I don't even know how to say that. I think it also lies on personality, because some people are quite different. Some people are shy. Some people are more, open to communicate. So now, Evgeny, you're back. Yeah, you can continue.
But actually, I want to tell, yes, there are many options, but the main barrier is the cost, because I paid about £100 for 10 pages. So it's, but it was more or less English text, and it was only proofreading. So if you need also a translation, I guess you have to pay the same price, maybe even more. And yeah, it's a problem, and it's the thing we have to do, how to solve this possible problem. Because to do translation and proofreading for free, it's impossible. It's really takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of experience. So not everyone can do it. For example, even my colleagues from abroad not always can find just something wrong in the text. Yeah, but anyway, I found an option, and anyway, it makes me happy and makes my article preparation much easier.
Yeah, and life a bit easier in that way. Yeah, and actually, articles usually a result of joint projects. I think international articles. So maybe I don't think that I have ever seen in different project applications this article for the budget as translation of the article or proofreading, anything like that. I haven't seen that. I mean, maybe there is a cost of publication, but not the cost of translation or something. Just because in the international projects, maybe it is something like a central thing, assumed that if you have an international partner, native speaker, that he or she will be writing the whole thing. I mean, there's also a little bit of a challenge for both sides. I mean, you take a responsibility to take care of the article. Yeah, just Solly, go ahead.
I just wanted to add to Sarah's comment earlier that, I used to work as a technical editor for a Kazakh Turkish institute in the past, and I really struggled because they would try and write in English. So like with my Kazakh colleagues, they either think in Kazakh or Russian, so it's easy for me to understand what they were trying to say. But with Turkish people, because I don't speak Turkish, it was really difficult. And it was social sciences, so there were terms I didn't understand. And also it was, they're a bit wordy, like the language, I think they use lots of words, like compared to, English. So I really struggled with that, and I had to quit because I couldn't cope with the work. So I think Sarah's comment saying, like, if you're working with someone, it's better to get someone professional. It's a hard work. And then another thing, again, to just to share an experience. I'm not a Russian colleague, but whenever we traveled with UK colleagues to Russia, I think they really, really enjoyed it. Just from my perspective, I think UK people are very interested in exploring Russia because, I don't know, maybe it's because, it was USSR in the past and the kind of like close territory. And people here are very interested in the country, in the culture and everything. So I think if we were given opportunities, I'm sure everyone would want to kind of collaborate with Russia if it was easy. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Ria, go ahead.
I was just going to add that we, on the project I work on, we have short text that we ask our collaborators to translate, just little emails and calls for webinars such as this. But when we come to actually publishing papers, we will be publishing in English. So, we won't be able to because of the cost of and the huge undertaking that it is to fully translate in this way for a publication, we won't be publishing in Russian, we'll be publishing in English. So then that cuts out those scientists who may have fantastic data, who may have fantastic science, to actually collaborate when it comes to publicizing. So I think it certainly is an interesting discussion and something to kind of address is this real professional, the technicality of translating the larger pieces of work. And I think it's fantastic that Yevgeny's research project is doing English classes through, and has included that in the funding for the project. I think that's really important. And I think we need to see more of that and on a bigger scale.
Yeah, that's a very good comment. Thank you so much, Ria. And I just realized that maybe for especially bilateral projects, it would be worthwhile to include this kind of section and devote the part of the budget for this language skills opportunities and so on. Maybe this is one of the outcome of our webinar today, just to actually express to our decision makers, especially in the funding agencies, that this is one of the most important thing, because this is the basic for any communication, whether it is the personal communication or research or science communication, and etc. Yeah. So Sarah also posting that comparing with the cost of language editing or translation, the cost of doing language classes to improve your own language skills is actually a worthwhile investment, and actually maybe a motivation for a student, Evgeny, as well. You can mention that. Yeah. That is quite nice discussion. I love it. Thank you so much for all your insights and all your comments. I don't know if there are any other comments from audience. If so, please post in chat or raise your hand. And I just wanted to get back to Sole's comment regarding getting to know Russia. I have a friend of mine. She's from Finland, because we do have this cross-border cooperation very intense over here in Murmansk region, and also Evgeny referred to his colleagues in Finland. The friend of mine from Finland, she actually took the whole trip across Russia by train, from Murmansk region to Vladivostok, all the way by train. She just had a few stops in the biggest cities, and she knew only 3 words in Russian, saying like "hello," "thank you," and goodbye. Yeah, she's a little bit crazy, but scientist, but she was motivated by her research anyway. But she did a good job. She went all the way down, but she was so very much surprised with the the warm welcome from the Russian people on the train, and she was asking why they always try to feed me with something to share food all the time. So I don't know. The trip took at around a few weeks, 10 days maybe or something. Though she did stops at different bigger cities as well. Yeah. Even being Russian, I wouldn't take this trip that long, but I think that's why she's crazy in my eyes. But she did it quite successfully. Yeah. I hope you have a very nice Christmas mood and enjoy this session. Thank you so much for joining. I think that we will wrap up. And I want to say that I think that major outcome from this session is just to pass on the message to our decision makers, saying that we need to include something in projects as an essential thing. For example, in some of the projects, there is an essential thing on inclusion of early career researchers, right? So I think that for making them even more successful, that would be nice to include the language skills and language, I don't know, something about the language, which actually is a motivation and a driving force for breaking cultural barriers as well. So this is an essential thing, should be an essential thing anyway. And Sarah is posting that sadly, funders don't even pay for paper publishing fees, so convincing them to pay for language help might be difficult. But worth trying, yeah, that's why we are over here. We will try. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great Christmas and have great holidays. And we will see you actually in January, because in January we are going to have a very great webinar, which will be devoted to all these regulations, that we have in Russia and UK to access the field and to make research in action. So please join. It's going to be a interesting and hard discussion as well. So have a good Christmas and have a good New Year, and see you next year. Bye bye.
Bye bye, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye bye.